Today we're going to take a look at a relatively new addition to Arcgis Online. Those of you with Arcgis Enterprise have been able to use this for a little bit, but in Arcgis Online it just came out of beta recently. So we'll take a look at some of the functionality that Arcgis Notebooks provide in Arcgis Online, some of the uses for them and why you'd want to use them, and take a look at just some general information about it so that you can know if it's right for you and if some of these solutions will work for you. So I think the first question is, what are Arcgis Notebooks? Arcgis Notebooks are cloud-based Jupyter Notebooks. If you're familiar with Jupyter Notebook, if you've been working with Python for a while, you may have heard of Jupyter Notebooks before. And they are basically just they're a Python package and tool that allows you to make these really nice interactive displays of your Python code, the outputs of your Python code, and anything to do with your Python code. And you can add really well formatted markdown documentation like you see on my screen right now. And so the advantage of this is that Jupyter Notebooks actually run in your web browser. So what Esri has done is taken advantage of that and created a notebook server, which they have put now in Arcgis Online so that anybody with a creator level license can open up an Arcgis notebook and use the functionality of Python right in your web browser. So like I said, it just came out of beta. It's a great tool to easily use and share your Python code. And these are especially great for administrators of Arcgis Online, and I'll show some of the administrative functionality you can do. Data scientists and data analysts that are using Arcgis Online tools. Jupyter Notebooks allows you to share your outputs of your analysis very easily. And it's just good in general for users and GIS professionals too, who maybe don't have the exact technical skills or know how to deal with a local Python environment and want to use this sort of cloud managed environment that Esri is providing. So if you have want some more information about Jupyter Notebooks in general, I have the link right here, jupyter.org, where you can take a look at specific documentation for Jupyter Notebooks, including how you can use them, not just in Arcgis Online, but use them locally as well. So now specific to Arcgis Online, the first question here is how to create a notebook. So to create a notebook, if I go to the content here, when you go to your Arcgis Online home screen, you'll see a button right here called Notebook. This was recently added in between Scene and Groups. So to create a notebook, all you need to do is click Notebook. And when you do, it opens it up in a new tab. And then once you get to your new tab, we have a couple options for our notebooks. There are three, Esri calls them runtimes or Python environments that you can choose from. We have the Arcgis Notebook Python 3 Standard, Python 3 Advanced, and then Advanced with GPU support. For most use cases, the standard one is going to be the one you're going to want to go with, but I will talk briefly about the other ones and sort of what the differences are between those. So once you select your runtime, I'm just going to go back to the one I already had made. You get here, it'll give you this message that says, welcome to your notebook. Run this cell to connect to your GIS and get started. And then these couple lines of Python code here will import the ArcGIS Python API, as well as authenticate your user to the Arcgis Online that you're currently logged in with. So once you authenticate and log in, you have access to all the content that you would, just like if you logged in normally through Arcgis Online. So a quick note on those couple of runtimes that I noted that you have different options for accessing. So the three are the standard, advanced, and advanced with GPU. The standard runtime is the one I would say is the most general use. It's the one that you're probably going to want to use most of the time. There are a few hundred Python packages already installed, including a lot of really popular data science and just general, improvements on the Python language packages that already come out of the box. And Esri, of course, maintains a list here that you can reference at any time. This list of packages does change with each ArcGIS Online update, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So that's the standard one. The main use for that is just, general use and being able to use the ArcGIS Python API. The advanced runtime has everything that the standard has, but it also includes ArcPy. So that's really cool that we can now use ArcPy in ArcGIS Online. I think that's a request that's sort of been out there for a long time. So you can, take your feature layers and other data and use sort of the geoprocessing tools that ArcPy provides, or the, publishing data manipulation tools of ArcPy, and migrate some of your scripts that you're using in your local environment through ArcGIS Pro, and you can put those now in ArcGIS Online. One note is that it does require a higher privilege to use ArcPy, and then it does also consume credits. I think it is 3 credits per hour that your notebook is open, but you can double check that. But yeah, that's just a note that to use ArcPy in ArcGIS Online, you will have to consume credits sort of as you use it. The last one is the advanced with GPU. So it's the same as the advanced runtime, but it offers you dedicated GPU or graphics processing unit processing. If you're analyzing large data or doing deep learning or AI applications, this could be something that's interesting to you. It does consume a pretty significant amount of credits because you're basically renting, so to speak, space on some sort of cloud-hosted computer with a GPU. I think this one is 30 credits per hour that your notebook is open. So this is definitely very advanced use case, very specific, very advanced, like data processing, extremely large data sets, things like that you will want to use this for. So all the work that I'm going to do today is just in the standard runtime, just to show you what you can do with sort of the no credit usage included with your ArcGIS Online subscription. So yeah, let's get started and take a look at some of the examples and do a quick tour of this ArcGIS Notebooks window. So the first thing you always need to do when you get in here is you need to connect to your GIS. So we just do this line here where we import the ArcGIS Python API, and then we just tell it to connect to the current ArcGIS Online that we're logged into. When I run this, you can see that it warns me. It says, you're an administrator, so be a little careful with what you're doing because you can, do a lot more things than an average creator would. Just like anything you can do through the graphic interface through your web browser when you're, adding users, deleting content, editing content, you can do that, almost all of that through the Python API too. So it is good to just be a little extra careful because it's a little easier to accidentally delete something when you're writing Python code than it is to do it through there's less confirmation steps that you want to be sure what you're doing. So a couple things we can do in this notebook. You can see here that we can add data to the notebook. There's a few different ways that we can do this. You can add data, if you're familiar with working with the Python API before, there's a lot of different ways that you can add data by using URLs of web services, searching and referencing specific content. But what is nice about this notebook environment is we have this little add button here. And here we can see all of the content that we have access to in our organization. So all I have to do is hit this little plus button right here, which is what I've done with this North Dakota earthquake locations. And it adds this nice little text for me that says you add this from the toolbar. Here's the title, the type, and here's the item ID that we can get the content with. So that's one way to add things. And you can, of course, search all of ArcGIS Online. You can use the Living Atlas to access more premium content if you would like. Any content that is available in ArcGIS Online can be pulled into the ArcGIS Notebook here. One other thing you can maybe see just in this cell right here is I am using already the Pandas, which is Pandas Python library, which is a data science library that is used for analysis, visualization, things like that. And Pandas is really deeply integrated with the Arcgis Python API. So you can see here that I'm grabbing this content, which is earthquake locations in North Dakota. I'm turning that into a feature layer, putting it into a spatial data frame, and now right in my Python environment in my notebook, I have this interactive web map where I've plotted a heat map of the different earthquake locations. And I can zoom in and out and interact with this just like I would with any other web map in ArcGIS Online. So this is really nice for, like I said, one of the big uses of ArcGIS Notebooks is being able to share your data with different people. So you can do some sort of analysis, output it as a map, and you can share someone, and they don't even share it with somebody else, and they don't even need to run your Python code. They'll be able to see the result on this little map view and see exactly how you arrived at that result. The other way to add data is we can actually upload files into an ArcGIS notebook. So right on the top on the toolbar here, we have files. If you open that up, you'll think about it for a second. Okay, well that's not loading, but in this little file screen, you'll see a couple different folders that you have access to, and you can upload CSVs or any other data that you would like, images, file geodatabases, shapefiles, all of those things can be uploaded here. And then you can interact with that right in your notebook by just referencing, like I've done here, ArcGIS home, and then I have North Dakota legislative districts here. You can also output resulting data sets to these files here and then download them. So if you are doing an analysis and you export that to a CSV, then you can download it right from there. Just a few other quick notes of the Python window here. A lot of this stuff I think you just need to get your hands on to get familiar with. But some other cool things you can do is you can download these notebooks as Python files, or if you want to take this notebook locally and don't want to use it in the cloud, you can download it as a Python notebook. You can download it in Markdown, which is just a text format. And you can also turn this into Reveal.js slides, which is a HTML presentation framework. So you can turn your notebook right into a presentation that you can take to conferences or other presentations that you need to do. There is also just a lot of commands and tools to interact with these cells. I won't go over all of these right now, but you can change between if you want this to be Markdown content like I have here, or you want it to be Python code like I have here. You can do any of those. You can also enter things like slideshow views, and then you can stop, restart the kernel, or rerun the whole notebook if maybe one of your Python processes failed and it interrupts the kernel. You can stop, restart the kernel, things like that. We also have access to all the analysis tools that are in ArcGIS Online. So we can take all of these tools and hit this little add button, and it will drop them. Here, I can actually just show this here. I just drop this merge layers. It'll actually drop the required imports as well as the tool right into our code, and all we need to do is add in the parameters that we need. And so I'm not going to do any analysis right now, but this of course will consume credits the same as analysis will anywhere else in ArcGIS Online. But you can drag and drop them really easily into and see all the tools available really easily with ArcGIS Notebooks. So I'm just going to get rid of that cell because I don't need it. Okay, so what are some of the other things that we can do with ArcGIS Notebooks? What are some of the use cases? I have a very long list here that Esri put out of like things that you can do with ArcGIS Notebooks and sort of the uses for it. So we have, data collection and cleaning, data science type of things like using Pandas and AI deep learning, things like that to analyze your data. We can also do administrative tasks like remove, add, and do things with our user accounts. We can analyze the services that we have. And one of the things that we're going to look at here is finding non-HTTPS items. So we'll take a look at, oh, and one other thing. One tip that I've run into is remember to save often. I know that's kind of a tip that ends up with a lot of things, but if you're familiar with sort of the local version of Jupyter Notebooks, you do have the ability to turn on autosave for that. And this currently does not have autosave turned on. So remember to save your work frequently so that you don't accidentally lose it. And Esri has also provided us, if you click this samples up in the top right here, it'll bring you to this group with all kinds of Arcgis notebooks in it. So these examples are built by Esri and all really great to sort of see the different things that you can do with Arcgis notebooks and take this and expand it as you need it. So we have things from content management, credit management, all the way to, you can see we're using deep learning to do some more complex spatial analysis. So all these notebooks are a great resource. And the notebook that I'm specifically going to go over is this content management, identify insecure items. So I think for a lot of you out there, this is probably a sort of hot topic right now because, as you know, soon we will be making the switch to HTTPS will be enforced across ArcGIS Online. So non-HTTPS items will no longer be supported. So it's important to, sooner rather than later, find all these items in your organization that are not HTTPS and make sure that they get changed or they get removed. So if we take a look at this notebook that Esri has provided us, you can really see sort of the power of ArcGIS notebooks with something like this and how easy it is to take a look at it. All the documentation is right in front of me. Before every cell, they explain exactly what the cell is doing, what the functions inside it are doing. They sort of go through line by line everything that you need to understand this Python code. So I've gone ahead and set this up. There's a few different options in this specific one. I'm just looking in one specific group because if I did our whole ArcGIS Online organization, we'd probably be sitting here for a while. But once you set up and configure this notebook, it's as easy as just going up to the top here and doing run all. If you just hit this run all button, it's going to run in order all the cells in the notebook. So I'm just going to hit that. And it immediately jumps me down to the bottom. And we can see as the notebook is running, these stars mean that the process is currently running. And once those stars change from stars to having a number by them, that means that this cell has completed running. So I think I'm going to try restart my kernel. Okay, let's try that again. Because this should run pretty. One thing I have noticed is, ArcGIS notebooks are fresh out of beta. I think there's still a little bit of sort of a couple things that don't work great sometimes. So that's one thing to keep in mind is that these are fresh out of beta. These are really new product. And sometimes it takes a little bit of patience with new products. So I'm just going to try reload this notebook. Okay, so now you can see that those numbers have changed from stars to numbers, which means that the cell has run. And as we get through, we can see this notebook actually results some CSVs that are telling me which items are insecure and all the items that were checked. Then it tells me you have one item, this web map right here, that uses insecure URLs. So I can open up that web map, change the URL, and you can run this against your entire Arcgis Online organization, or in specific groups to find and identify these insecure items. And so I would encourage you to check out this example specifically because it shows a lot of good stuff about Arcgis Notebooks and sort of the power of them, interacting with the content really easily in Arcgis Online. We also have an example where they're outputting CSV files that you can download, and it's creating content in your Arcgis Online. And then at the end here, we also have some examples on how to leverage Pandas and Pandas data frames to analyze your results. So you can see here that, here's all our results. What was the URL that they checked and what was the item type. And then we're querying which ones are not secure. And so I can see that I have quite a few services in this one web map that are not secure. And then it tells me, the item ID of these items that are not secure. So I can very easily find them, update those URLs. So this is a really good example showing sort of content administration with an Arcgis notebook. One other thing that I thought was a useful example, they have this example about deploying automatic notifications. So this would be when you run this Arcgis notebook, you after certain criteria are met about a user's account, or if you found content that had non-HTTPS URLs in it, you could send an email to that user and say, hey, your web map has non-HTTPS URLs. Please update this right away. And so this example has a bunch of examples in it on how to set up email notifications, how to set up text message notifications. You can use Twitter if you wanted to tweet something like, this data was just updated, or something like that, or tie in with services like IFTTT, and other applications like Slack. So if your organization uses Slack, you can send a message to someone saying, hey, your URLs are unsecure, please go update them as soon as you can, and things like that. So Arcgis notebooks are really great for managing your content. We just took a look at a couple of the content management options that we have. And so I think really that for me is one of the bigger use cases here. I think a lot of you out there will find these useful to sort of use and share content administration tools and workflows. One final note for Portal users: if you're using Arcgis Enterprise and Portal for ArcGIS, a lot of the features that I've shown here are also available Portal, plus more. They're accessible in the same way as Arcgis Online. When you go to your portal, there's a little notebooks button, you hit that, and things will generally look the same. But notebooks in Arcgis Enterprise have actually a couple more features than we have here. They have you can do automation, which is really cool. They provide like a REST endpoint that you can send HTTP requests to that automatically run your notebook. So that is definitely a feature that I hope comes to Arcgis Online, because that is being able to automate the running of these notebooks would definitely be very useful for things like automated field calculation, automated content management, removing inactive users, like things like that would definitely be really great to automate. And so I hope that feature comes soon. Also with Arcgis Enterprise, you can customize your Python environments a little more. Not to get too much into the details, but it is possible to, when you have the portal installed on premises and on a machine that you have access to, you can customize the environments that are running behind your Arcgis notebook to swap out Python packages, or use specific versions, or add one that maybe isn't. Because that's definitely a con with Arcgis Notebooks and Arcgis Online, is that this is fully managed by Esri, which makes it really user-friendly, really easy to get up and running. But you are susceptible to when there's an Arcgis Online update, a lot of your packages will probably change. They might be updated to new versions. There might be breaking changes, things like that. As well as, anything that comes with sort of managed for you type of environment, the updates happen without you being able to control them. So that is definitely one con. But I would say overall, for sort of casual users of Arcgis Online and administrators and data scientists, Arcgis Notebooks are a really cool and welcome tool and a great addition to sort of Arcgis Online. And a lot of the features that these notebooks cover is, I think, things that people have been asking for a long time. Being able to run your Python code in browser is a really powerful thing. You can do really complex spatial analysis and stuff from devices like an iPad, a cell phone. Anything that can access this URL can run this notebook. So no longer is running Python code restricted to, having a powerful desktop computer. You can use iPads, phones, things like that. And I think that concludes my presentation on Arcgis Notebooks. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or message them on Twitter or anything else, or you can send me an email. I should have put I could type in my email. That's my email. If you have any questions about Arcgis Notebooks or how they can be used for you, feel free to reach me there. I also feel free to message the Twitter account that's broadcasting this. I also have my personal Twitter in the comments down below if you want to message me there as well. So Arcgis Notebooks, like I said, they just came out of beta. They'll most likely continue to be updated. Keep an eye for them at the UC. I'm sure there will be lots of talk about Arcgis Notebooks at the user conference this year. So be sure to sign up for some of those sessions if you want to know more. But also keep an eye on our social media, and you can sign up for our newsletter if there are any cool updates to Arcgis Notebooks or anything else in the Esri platform. We will definitely let you know. And yeah, thank you for watching today. I hope you guys have a good day.